Hey guys, this is going to be the unboxing, installation tutorial, and my first thoughts on the Rensado exhaust for the Honda Grom, also known as the Amazon exhaust, which you can typically pick up for under $100. Now, whenever you're installing an exhaust, it's best practice to wear some kind of gloves to protect your bare hands from touching the exhaust. And the reason for that is because when this exhaust gets hot, whatever oil left behind from your bare hands is going to permanently burn onto the exhaust. So unless you want permanent fingerprints on your exhaust, always wear some kind of gloves, or if you don't have any gloves, be sure once this is installed to wipe it down thoroughly before you start the bike. All right, let's open this thing up and see what we have inside. This is going to be your downpipe. This comes from the headers, goes straight to the can of the exhaust. Welds look pretty decent. Pretty simple design. Sticker for you to put on your exhaust. We're not going to deal with that. And what would an exhaust be without the actual can itself? Again, pretty simple design. Comes with the baffle already in it. Nice little shorty exhaust for the Grom. And this is just your accessories. This is just like the hanger that goes around the exhaust to go onto your bike. And of course the springs that connect the downpipe to the exhaust. And these little U-shaped looking things right here, these are extra. These are what the springs actually attach to if for some reason the ones that come on the downpipe here for some reason come off. Okay, so before we install this, I'm gonna give you one last sound clip of what a 2018 Honda Grom sounds like with a stock exhaust. So step one of installing a new exhaust is uninstalling the old exhaust. And we're gonna start with this heat shield right here, which takes a 5mm Allen key. That should come right off. Yes, I know my exhaust is filthy. I do plenty of off-roading. All right, the next step, we're gonna loosen but not remove this size 12mm bolt, and the nut on the other side is also a 12mm. The next bolt we're going to remove is right there. It's a size 12mm. It sits behind this rear set right here. Once you remove that bolt, move over to the kickstand and chain side. You're going to find another 12mm bolt that you need to remove behind the rear set right there. Move on over to the exhaust side of the bike, the right side. If you want, you can take this heat shield off with an 8mm socket. It's not necessary, but I did just to make it easier. Next thing you want to do on the right side of the bike is remove the two 12mm bolts that connect the downpipe to the head. All right, so once you remove the two bolts up front on the head, your exhaust should be able to just dangle like that. Go ahead and move on back to where we started with the 12mm bolt and nut. And we're just going to take that out. And your exhaust should come right off. Okay, so we have the old exhaust off, and it's time to start assembling the new exhaust. So we're gonna start out simple with the exhaust hanger. We're gonna put this rubber strip on the inside of it. There's little flaps on the strip itself, so it'll actually fit around the hanger, so it'll go nicely in place. Okay, so now we have a nice form-fitted hanger with a rubber strip fitted around it. This is where I would recommend putting on some gloves, because now we're actually going to be handling the exhaust. And like I said, you don't want to burn those fingerprints onto the exhaust. All right, so this exhaust is a fairly simple design. You really just put the can over the exhaust pipe right there. Get these springs. And we're going to want to try to bring it to those hooks. Whew, it's a little bit of a pain if you don't have the correct tool, but get these springs connected from the can to the pipe itself. We're about ready to put this thing on the bike. All right, so we're basically just gonna reverse engineer this thing, starting with the head and moving our way back. All right, so we have the down pipe lightly screwed into the head right there, because we still wanna move this around a little bit because we wanna get it fitted just right. All right, so we're gonna fit this brace, put the stock bolt through it, try to line it up with where the stock exhaust was, put the 12mm nut on the other side of it. Again, this is just reverse engineering. All right, I'm gonna tighten this for the most part. Not super tight, because I still have to tighten up in front onto the head. All right, so we still have a little bit of play, but that's what we want until we tighten up front. All right, so we tightened up the two 12mm bolts up front. We came in the back and we tightened up this bolt back here that we first started out with. Again, it's 12mm bolt with a 12mm nut. And I did wear gloves, but just for good measure, I am gonna wipe down the exhaust just in case of any residual fingerprints that were left on there. And just like that, you have a brand new aftermarket exhaust for your Honda Grom. All right, guys, that's gonna wrap up the installation tutorial for the Ransado Amazon exhaust for the Honda Grom. And I guess there's really only one thing left to do, show you what it sounds like. But before I do, I just simply ask that if this video helped you out in any way, that you go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more motorcycle related content. I, of course, am John.com, and I'll see you in the next video. Oh, I almost forgot to give you my first impressions on this exhaust. I gotta say, I'm really impressed with the build quality, especially for being a sub $100 exhaust. I know there's some people that throw a lot of shade at this exhaust just because it's under $100, but I'm telling you, it actually sounds pretty good. If I had to compare it to something, I would say it sounds exactly like a four-wheeler. It's obviously noticeably louder than a stock exhaust, but it's not obnoxiously loud and it's not overbearing. Overall, I'm super pleased with this exhaust, especially for spending as little as I did on it. But would I recommend this exhaust? Absolutely.